But now I'm pleased to welcome to the stage last year's keynote speaker, Hall of Fame speaker, author, president of the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, and IDA Advisory Board member, Karen Buxton. Let's hear it for her.
It's a happy dance. Well, I did have the privilege of speaking to this group last year, and I have to tell you, it is such a thrill to be back because I made such good friends. And in this room, I don't know that I have ever had a group more collectively that has been more intelligent, been more passionate, and more inspiring than the Invisible Disabilities Association. And Wayne and Sherry, I love you guys. So I'm thrilled to be here. I did have the opportunity to share my story last year, but what I probably did not share with you is that when I was in high school, I too was active in athletics. I even lettered twice in cheerleading. The first letter asked me to resign from the squad, and the second letter asked me to return the uniform. But tonight we are going to hear from a true athlete and a good friend and colleague of mine, Ed Hearn. Ed played in the Major League Baseball for 13 years. As was mentioned, he did play on the Kansas City Royals, but part of his career was actually with the New York Mets. And he actually was playing during the World Series Championship in 1986 with the New York Mets. Quite a phenomenal accomplishment. So Ed, I do know the difference between the two of you, has really achieved what so many young boys and girls nowadays would love to accomplish, and that is to reach that kind of dream and to play at that level. He also, though, has undergone some incredible challenges and circumstances that make him someone who is going to be a very powerful speaker for us this evening with a message that we really do want and need to hear. He has written a book that's a very inspiring book called Conquering Life's Curves, Baseball, Battles, and Beyond. He's appeared on Oprah. He has also appeared on the 700 Club as well as MSNBC. He's also the founder of a nonprofit organization called the Bottom of the Ninth Foundation, a Kansas non-for-profit corporation dedicated to the mission of rebuilding the spirit and character of this nation. We're really looking forward to Ed sharing with us his experiences before, during, and after his days as a major league player. From his personal highs and lows, we think that you're going to be inspired with his message. But before we hear from Ed, I'd like first for you to bring your attention to the screen so that we can see just a little snapshot about Ed.
With two down, here is Ed Hearn, who had his first big league hit in the second inning. He's a youngster who was drafted by Philadelphia. He had an appointment to the West Point Military Academy and decided to be a baseball player. He would have made an impressive-looking general. He's 6'3", 215.
It's way back. It is going, gone, goodbye. And Ed Hearn with his first major.
And a high drive to left. Back goes Stubbs, way back.
I made it to the penthouse of all my dreams as a young boy. I mean, I had sacrificed so much to be there, to get to that point. No doubt. I probably never really dreamt that I would play in the big leagues, let alone be in a World Series and be on the winning team.
He struck him out. The Mets have won the World Series. The dream has come true. The Mets have won the World Series, coming from behind to win the 7th ball game.
And so it was over. The Mets were world champions.
There's a couple of gifts I want to give to you, and one of them is a little perspective today. Just when I had life in the palm of my hand, I mean, I had it right where I wanted it. It was jerked out from underneath me.
But this is a man who, first of all, was the short end of the David Cohn trade. The Royals gave away a two-time Cy Young Award winner, and Ed took the heat for it because he got injured right away. On top of that, when his career ended, he had a kidney transplant, a life-threatening blood disorder, and a life-threatening sleeping disorder disease. And when we interviewed him a month before, or 2 months before, he had had cancer.
So I went from the penthouse to the outhouse. What do you do when you're facing adversity, when you're facing change you think you have no control over?
Meet Karen Kornacki, the Kansas City reporter who's done more than just cover the story. She says she got a ringside seat to all of Ed's highs and lows since the very first day he arrived as a ball player for the Kansas City Royals. And welcome Ed and Trish Hearn. Conquering Life's Curves is the title of their book. There's a lesson in there for everybody, right, Ed, you say?
You betcha. Boy, you know, as a young boy, I had dreamed of being a big league ball player. That's all I wanted to do. And then things changed. You know, of course, as I travel around the country speaking today, I find that we all face changes in life. We face challenges. And fortunately, the things that happened in my life, I now am able to go out there and empower other people, share with them a message of hope and that we can overcome these challenges.
Ed Hearn is truly an inspirational champion.
One last accomplishment that Ed has achieved, which is less than 7% of all speakers in the National Speakers Association, is that Ed is also a certified speaking professional. Please help me give Ed a warm Ida welcome.
Sweetheart. At 6'3", 220 pounds, he would have made an impressive looking general. Ho, 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 ho. Hey, a waste, a terrible thing to mind. You know, when I had my first challenges, when my health problems came along, and my nephrologist told me that I was going to be getting a kidney transplant and that I'd be put on medications that can cause you to put on a lot of weight. I said, Doc, man, I'm a jock. I'm an athlete. I got to take care of myself. You know, no problem. He said, man, you can put on 60, 70 pounds. And I said, no problem. A year and a half later, I come back, see Doc Jim, and no longer he walks in the door, and I can see where he's headed. He's looking at the waistline. I said, oh, wait a second. Jock, look here. You got me the gift of life. And you put it right here in the front. I'm just building up some protection for this precious gift. So lay off, partner, man. You know, when we were on the Oprah Winfrey Show, it was 2 separate segments, and it was a commercial in between. And during that commercial was the time when she had that trainer, you know, where she got real shapely. And she picked up a copy of my book, and she looked at it, she looked at me, and she said, you know, Ed, I've got a really good trainer I could introduce you to. Now, I like Oprah, but, you know, and we all have on each of our shoulders, we got the little dude or chick with the halo, and then we got the little dude or chick with the horns, right? Well, the dude with the horns was telling me if I just told her to turn around and look behind her, she'd find what she thinks she lost. I didn't. I was a good boy. I was a good boy. Invisible disabilities. You know, when I was first contacted about being a part of this evening, you know what my first thought was? We all have invisible disabilities. None of us are perfect. We're here tonight to talk about those invisible disabilities that are mainly physical challenges that we face, some of us more than others. And I want to be honest with you folks, and if you're anything like me, you'll understand the word pity party. Have you ever had a pity party? It was April 27th of 1992. And I was having the mother of all pity parties. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was in a hospital room in Kansas City. The shades were drawn tight, the door was shut, and it was pitch black dark. And man, I had that pout. Man, what bad luck I would have been. Look at all. It's just not right, man. I worked my butt off. I sacrificed so much to make it to the big leagues. It was taken away from me. I'm laying here, relying on machines to keep me alive, and now I've had to have somebody give me a transplant. This just is not fair. Do y'all remember as kids the party pooper? That would be mom and dad coming home early when they said they were going to be gone for the whole weekend. They come back on Saturday nights. The door to my hospital room swung open. The light from the hall filled my room. And into the doorway walked the midnight shift nurse. When she walked in the doorway, it got dark again in my room. When she turned on the light to my room, I realized why they only let her work the graveyard shift. She was ugly. She came on over to the foot of my bed. She reached in, she grabbed my chart, and she pulled out, and she looked down, and she looked up at me. She said, "Boy, why are you awake?" Now, my first thought was, I ain't been called boy in a long time. My second thought was she called me anything she wanted to call me. I said, "Boy," she said, "you played Major League Baseball. You got many boys dreaming of doing what you got to do?" You said, "You got a beautiful wife, son. I saw your wife leave out here the other day. That's a beautiful woman you got. Are you hurting, boy? Are you in pain?" I just grunted. "No." She said, "I know you're not. You're in here feeling sorry for yourself, boy. Every once in a while, I see somebody like you in this ward, boy. You see, we give the gift of life to people here on floor 4 East. And every once in a while, I see somebody like you, boy, and it really makes me mad." She slammed that chart into the end of the bed. She came on over to the head of my bed, and she planted her left foot next to my bed, and she reached in her holster and grabbed that thermometer. She proceeded to place that thermometer in my mouth like she was checking my tonsils. She reached up, she grabbed the blood pressure cuff, she wrapped it around my arm, and she spread out over my bed. We were nose to nose, and she started to pump. She said, "Boy, I'm going to tell you something my mama told me a long time ago." And she would stop talking, but she kept pumping. Her nostrils were flaring like a big old bull ready to charge. She said, "Boy, when I was growing up, we didn't have nothing, but my mama told me to be thankful for the shoes I had, because one day I was going to meet the man with no feet." You better think about that, boy. You got the air out of that car. Hey, God. And out the door she went. That woman gave me a very precious gift that night. She gave me perspective. And today, after dealing with health issues for the last 20 years, I've come to realize that perspective is a huge and very important word. Today, especially today in our society, we get so caught up in this fast-paced world that we're living in that we forget to stop and be thankful for the blessings that we all have here in this great country, America. For those of you who are like me and you're dealing with some of these invisible disabilities, I hope you, as I have learned, that there's nothing greater that you can do than think outside the self. Take a look around you. I don't care how challenged you are. There are people that are so much worse off than we are. We need to think outside of ourselves. Here is Invisible Disabilities, I believe, gives us the tremendous infrastructure to think outside of ourselves. Those of you who are here today in support and who are volunteering to make a difference in the lives of other people, that's thinking outside the self. From where we are as patients, as those who struggle with things that sometimes it's almost impossible to understand. Trust us. We don't want to be where we're at. It is so hard. And I can tell you from a man's perspective, particularly, we want to gather and bring home the bacon. We want to provide security. We want to provide more for our families. And so sometimes the pain goes deeper than what you can see on the surface or what you may think we are feeling. But believe me, it is there. I know all too well this pain. We need you. Family, friends, community. A friend of mine, Zig Ziglar, I met about 20 years ago with the National Speakers Association, told me, as he's told many people, you have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. That's so true. Reach out and make a difference in the lives of someone else. And it will come back to you tenfold. This ring that everybody likes to try on and say, oh, wow, it's so beautiful. Oh, this is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. Compared to some of the opportunities I've had in the last 15 years. Not because of my strength as a former professional athlete. I'm no big name guy. I only got 2 letters to my name. Just it. But because of the challenges that God's allowed me to go through, it has given me the opportunity to reach out and make a difference in the lives of other people. IDA is that vehicle for all of us. You don't have to have had 3 kidney transplants. You don't have to have had MS. You don't have to have had anything. But if you want to live life to its fullest, you have to reach out and make a difference. This area is so important. This is so big. There are so many possibilities here within this organization to come alongside groups that don't have the understanding that Wayne and Sherry do and the enthusiasm for the angle that they're taking is fabulous. But they cannot do this alone. It takes a team. And it takes a committed team. In 1986, I played on probably one of the best talented teams in that baseball's had over the past couple decades with the Mets. We had tremendously talented people. But when you are on a team and you step up to the plate to make a difference, you need to be there and bring your stick with you every day, not just once in a while. Wayne and Sherry and those of us who are facing these challenges, we need you to step up to the plate with us regularly. Right now is a very difficult time in our country. We're all facing challenges, no doubt. But that's when you got to definitely come together as a team. In 1986, we dominated baseball like few teams had in recent years, and we won 118 ball games that year. But we were down in the Game 5 of the World Series to the Boston Red Sox. And two of our top four hitters went to the plate and made outs. Instead of staying in the dugout and pulling for the rest of the team, even though we were down 2 runs with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, with the scoreboard saying, "Congratulations, Red Sox," we still had life. But 3 of our guys, 3 of our leaders go into the clubhouse. One's smoking a cigar, one's drinking a beer, and the other one's on the phone making plans to go home, get a flight out that night. And we rally and come from behind to win Game 5 or Game 6 and go on to win the following night to win Game 7. We need people of character to step up to the plate and make a difference in the lives of other people. And you know what? Here's the great thing. It comes back to you. Believe me. I could tell you story after story. Wayne told me I had to shut up after a few minutes. But in 1986, let me just give you this one example. 1986, right in the midst of that great year of championship baseball, my rookie year in the big leagues, Ray Knight, our third baseman, was hosting the final Cystic Fibrosis Foundation meeting there at Shea Stadium at 12 o'clock. He had gone around the locker room asking, "Please, I promised to bring a couple teammates." Everybody said no. They blew us off. Everybody blew him off. Said, "No." See, we were the cocky Mets. It was late, man. We were going to the World Series. How do we want to do that? I would have, but I had another commitment that day with some little leaguers in Flushing, New York. And I remember seeing Ray's face as he's like, "Man, I promised to bring some players." You know how it is when you promise to bring some friends? Some of you board members, like, right? "Oh, I didn't have anybody come to the banquet tonight." That's kind of hard, isn't it? The day came, and I got through with the little leaguers a little early. Got back to the ballpark at 12:30, and I had to decide, am I going to go back to my Long Island apartment, get a big old deli sub with big Jersey tomatoes, watch a soap opera or 2, come back to the ballpark later on? Or am I going to go upstairs and be there, number one, with my teammate Ray? Because I knew nobody was there with him. Nobody came. 2, do I go up there to be with the parents of children whose life expectancy at the time was 18 years of age or less, who had to pound on the back of their children every night just so they could get them through the night? I made a great decision that night. That afternoon, I went upstairs and walked in the back of this ballroom. Was holding almost 2,000 people. Ray had just been introduced, and he saw me in the back. His eyes got big as silver dollars. He said, "There's my teammate, Ed Hearn. I told you one of my boys was coming." And everybody turned around and looked at me, and I was a little shy guy back there. Oh, I wasn't little, but I was shy. Southern boy from Florida. I sat in the first seat I came to, and the program went on. But I sat next to a little girl named Krista. She was 4 years old, and she had cystic. It wasn't 2 or 3 minutes. She had hopped up on my lap. She chewed my ear just, oh, golly. It was like, it just seems like some of you all have been around children who have challenges health-wise. God seems to give them a little boost, and they're like 16 years old and they're only 4. It was like she was hitting on me like, it was like crazy. The thing comes to an end. Her mom slides over a game stub from a previous game that summer. She said, Mr. Hearn, would you sign this for a friend of mine? I said, sure. And I started doing my thing. And she said, would you sign it to Tricia? I said, sure. And then she said, I think you may know this girl. I said, how's that? Well, 10 days ago, your teammate, left-handed pitcher Randy Neiman, I guess was supposed to be setting you up with a date with her. She works at the hospital where I work. She's a nurse. I remembered. Randy was trying to get me to come up and visit his wife who had delivered a baby at this hospital in North Shore, Long Island. I'm like, what are the odds of that happening? In New York City? Now, I've been hit with a few foul balls at that time, you know, but I'm no dummy. I said, give me a scouting report on this chick. Mom says, oh, she's the best. She made it sound like she was the second coming of Cheryl Teagues. I don't trust women at all, so I asked her husband, hey, you know this girl? He said, not as good as I wish I did. I thought he was going to get the old back in. I got her number, and we had lunch a couple days later in the daylight. See, those New York girls were too fast for the Southern boy. I had told Randy, I'm not going out with any more of these New York girls. But you see, because I had gone to that function that night, that day, a couple days earlier with Ray, if I hadn't have been there, I would not have met this girl named Tricia, who for the last 23 years has been the wind beneath my wings, my caretaker, my wife. When I go home tomorrow, I'll get to be reunited with Trish. We've been apart for the last 6 or 7 days because I've been at Mayo Clinic. This may be the last talk I get to give for the rest of the year. I don't know what the future is going to be from here. But I know one thing, I have a caregiver and a very special woman who stuck by my side. She kissed the prince and got the frog. She met me at the top as a professional athlete. A career-ending shoulder injury. Within a year, I was on dialysis and had the first of 3 kidney transplants. Sleep with a breathing machine every night, and IV treatment once a month. Had numerous of those skin cancers taken off. Mark, you got about 35 more to go to catch up to me, bud. You see, it comes back to you tenfold. You can't have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. I want to call on each of you here tonight to step up to the plate. It's the bottom of the ninth, folks, in my opinion, in this country. I don't know where we're headed. It doesn't look good to me. And I say we got to do it now. We have to commit and step up to the plate, and we got to swing for the fences. You have leadership here in place to make a difference. Step up to the plate. I heard a quote not long ago, and this is what my life is about today. And I would like you to consider it tonight as we go into the rest of this night and as you leave here. Anyone can count the seeds in one apple, but no one can count the apples in just one seed. We may never know the impact that we have if we step up to the plate. Sometimes, and so often, it doesn't take that much, but it takes a step of action. But let me challenge you with this. Be thankful for the shoes that you all have. Now lace them up, shine them up, and run with all your might to be the champions of life that God's intended for each and every one of us to be. I hope you will choose to be a part of Invisible Disabilities. It's tough at times when people don't understand. After tonight, everyone in this room will have had the opportunity to understand. I call for you to step up to the plate tonight. Thank you.